Let's bring Arik Rudnitzky into the conversation. He's a researcher at the Israel Democracy Project. Hello to you, Arik. Thank you for joining us here on France 24. How should Israel be managing this conflict?
Well, this conflict with the Hamas has several dimensions. First, we need to understand that this is not the what we see here from Gaza. Of course, it's heartbreaking, but this is not the cause, but the result. Just a couple of days ago, the entire world was busy with counting the casualties and bodies in the Israeli side. But I think as far as Israel is concerned, this operation has several aspects, because we need to understand that there are hostages and kidnapped, especially civilians, in the Gazan side of the border. So, of course, we anticipate some ground attack to begin somewhere maybe today or in the next couple of days. But I think these ground attacks might be limited first to more ground raids in order to gather some information or anything that would lead to understand what is the fate of those kidnapped and hostages that are still in the hands of Hamas and some also private jihadi people.
We've heard from the UN, we've heard from various aid groups, we've heard from certain world leaders that Israel should rescind this evacuation order of northern Gaza. What do you think?
I think that all the eyes are staring at Israel because obviously the only responsible element here is Israel. We heard that Egypt has put some has actually blocked the gates of the Egyptian part of Rafah. And of course, the Hamas leadership is unable to take care of its civilians living in Gaza. And of course, Israel will have to take all these considerations into account. This is obviously clear. The war is a bad thing. The war, of course, has many not involved civilians that are actually taking part in this war. It began with the Israeli side, it continues with the Palestinian Gazan side. Of course, Israel will have to take this into consideration. As I mentioned, I expect that the first ground measures taken by Israel militarily would be somewhat limited to actually attack Hamas military strongholds and also try to gather some crucial information about the fate of the hostages and also try to locate if there are many more additional bodies that from Israel that actually were kidnapped a week ago and they are still found somewhere in the grounds of Gaza.
Our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert, you wanted to respond.
Yeah, sir, I'm just curious, Hamas has explicitly said it would like to see this fight move beyond just Gaza and spill over into West Bank and to Israel itself. You're in Tel Aviv right now. Do you sense rising intercommunal tensions, such as we've seen in the past, in Israel itself, between Israelis, between Arab Israeli citizens? Do you sense that? Where do things stand?
I think that this is a complicated question. I want to divide my answer into two parts. Now, first, here in Israel, the situation is extremely tensed. Let us first focus on the internal front or the home front between Jews and Arab citizens of Israel. Now, I have many Arab friends that say explicitly they are afraid of going out from their homes to do the regular shoppings and work because they are afraid of any incidents that would actually exacerbate the tensed atmosphere that you can feel. Almost no one is going out to the streets, and people stay at home. Of course, they have to follow the instructions of the home front command, but undoubtedly the atmosphere is very tense. Now, as far as the larger Palestinian issue is concerned, and this is interesting, I think that there's rising voices of criticism. Of course, they are relatively minor right now, but these voices say that actually Hamas gave a severe blow to the Palestinian cause. And if this is true, this may explain why their Palestinian brethren in the West Bank, and we hope that the West Bank front will remain calm and silent, why still they are not involved in opening a second front against Israel. But the issue here is quite simple. Now, the Palestinian cause is based on the issue that this is a moral, a humanitarian cause. Now, in terms of moral and humanitarian point of view, how can you justify what happened just 7 days ago? This is number one. Number two, as far as the Muslim world is concerned, and this has to do with the efforts by Israel to position Hamas, or to make to present Hamas as the Palestinian or Gazan example of ISIS. I think that actually gave a blow to the entire Muslim world by presenting this phase of Islam that the Muslim world, of course, is trying not to present itself like this one. So I think this is quite complicated. Also, in addition to that, but just want to add this one, that of course the Israeli military is of course all fronts are taking into account. We hear on some incidents on the northern part of Israel, the West Bank front is somewhat calm. We heard about some incidents taken by Jewish extremists. This is, of course, this is not okay.
I'm sorry to jump in. We have limited time, and I have one last thing I wanted to ask you, and that has to do with the fact you are in Tel Aviv right now. Tel Aviv, known to be a cosmopolitan, relatively progressive city, the site recently of mass protests against Benjamin Netanyahu's judicial reforms. Do you sense right now the population, even where you are in Tel Aviv, has really rallied behind Benjamin Netanyahu? Are there still people who are against the Israeli government policy, or is it really consolidated right now? Is it monolithic?
You know, for the past 8 months, Tel Aviv and the entire country witnessed unprecedented waves of protest against Netanyahu and his government. This is the situation. This is still the situation. I would say that the entire population, not only in Tel Aviv, but throughout the country, is united and rallied after the military forces and the general cause of the inhabitants in the Jewish settlements neighboring the Gaza Strip. Now, there is large and fierce criticism still against Netanyahu, but I think that many in the Jewish public understand that this is not the time to take the responsible figures, the responsible political figures, namely the government, to justice or to account. Of course, this day will come, but we are not yet at this position.
Arik, I don't think people are questioning that. I think the concern is that maybe the government's response could exacerbate the conflict.
The government response, I think that there are some criticism against the response taken by the IDF against Gaza. But I think the criticism is focused on the way that if you compare the government response in taking care of the fate of the people in the southern part of Israel and what the civil society organization that actually was forming, or still is forming through the past months, the response is totally different. So I would say that the criticism is more on the civic dimensions and not on the military aspect as far as the war against Gaza is concerned.
All right, Arik, thank you very much for your time. Arik Rudnitzky speaking to us from Tel Aviv.